back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hello peeps, I am here today to do a video that is going to take me a long time to clear up. It's already taken me a long time to set up, it's going to take even longer to clear it all away. And that video is going to be the authors who I have read the most and whose books I own the most. I'm only counting physical books, not ebooks, because that gets really technical and confusing, and not audiobooks for the same reason. So I'm just doing my top owned and read authors. I'm not counting unread books because I have lots of those. The first two books I own by Brent Weeks are the first two in the Night Angel series, which are The Way of Shadows and Shadow's Edge. I then own a further 4 books of his, which are the Lightbringer books, The Black Prism, The Blinding Knife, The Broken Eye and The Blood Mirror. Age of Myth, which is the first book in the Legends of the First Empire series. Theft of Swords, which is book 1 in Rieria Revelations. Rise of Empire, which is book 2 in Rieria Revelations. Heir of Novron, which is book 3 in Rieria Revelations. The Crown Tower, which is book 1 in the Rieria Chronicles. The Rose and the Thorn, which is book 2 in Rieria Chronicles. The Death of Dulgath, book number 3 in the Rieria Chronicles. So 7 books by Michael J. Sullivan. The next author on my list, book number 1, Game of Thrones, book 1 in Song of Ice and Fire series. A Clash of Kings, book 2 in the Song of Ice and Fire series. Number 3, A Storm of Swords part 1, which is book 3 in the Song of Ice and Fire series. A Storm of Swords part 2, Blood and Gold, which is book number 3 in the Song of Ice and Fire series, but part 2. A Feast for Crows, which is book number 4 in the Song of Ice and Fire series. Book number 6, which is a giant one, is A Dance with Dragons, which is book number 5 in the Song of Ice and Fire series. And book number 7 is an anthology which is called Dangerous Women, and it's edited by George R.R. Martin and Gardner Dozois. If you can hear like rustling in the background, that is my cat sat on top of a load of tissue paper, and she is just adjusting herself quite happily, making loads of noise, so please ignore that because she's too funny to move. But this is book number 7 by George R.R. Martin. Okay, the next author on my list, let's get counting. Book 1, Stephen Erikson, Gardens of the Moon. Book 2 by Stephen Erikson is Dead House Gates, second book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. Book 3 by Erikson is Memories of Ice, again in the Malazan Book of the Fallen, book number 3. House of Chains by Stephen Erikson, again this is book 4 in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. Book 5 in the series is Midnight Tides. Book 6 in the series is The Bone Hunters. Book 7 that I own by Erikson is Reaper's Gale, which is book 7 in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. And the 8th and final book that I own and have read by him is Toll the Hounds, which is book number 8 in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. I do own the 9th book, but I haven't finished it yet, so I haven't included it in this video. Next author on my list, let's get counting. Book number 1, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the illustrated edition by J.K. Rowling and illustrated by Jim Kay. Book number 2 is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling, illustrated by Jim Kay, which I must say I love these illustrated editions, they are beautiful. Third book is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, not illustrated, book 1 in the Harry Potter series. Is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, book 2 in Harry Potter series. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, third book in the Harry Potter series. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which is the 4th book in the Harry Potter series. 7th book I own is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, which is the 5th book in the Harry Potter series. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, which is the 6th book in the Harry Potter series. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling, 7th and final book in the Harry Potter series. So that's that. The next author on my list is Roald Dahl. Let's count them off. First book I have by him is an illustrated version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The next one is another illustrated version of James and the Giant Peach. Continuing on, I then have a box set, which means we have a lot more books. So book 3 is the BFG, book 4, James and the Giant Peach, book 5, The Magic Finger, book 6, Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I have to say was one of my all-time favourites when I was a kid. Book 7, The Witches, kinda scary. Book 8, Boy, Tales of Childhood, didn't really like that one. Book 9, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, and Book 10, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I am sad to say that one of my favourite books is not in here, which is George's Marvellous Medicine. I used to absolutely love that story, so I wish I had an edition of that actually. But that takes the total for Roald Dahl to 10 books. First book I own, Etiquette and Espionage by GAIL CARRIGER, first book in the Finishing School series. Second book is the second book in the Finishing School series, Curtsies and Conspiracies, Waistcoats and Weaponry. Fourth book is the fourth book and final book in the Finishing School series called Manners and Mutiny. Fifth book I own is the first one in her other series, the Parasol Protectorate. This is called Soulless. The second one in the Parasol Protectorate series is Changeless. The third in the Parasol Protectorate is Blameless. And the fourth in the series, Parasol Protectorate, is Heartless. The fifth in the series and the final one in the series of the Parasol Protectorate is Timeless. 10th one I own and the first in the Custard Protocol series is Prudence. And the 11th and final book that I own and have read is Imprudence, which is the second book in the Custard Protocol series. Next on the list is Robert Jordan. I have Book 1, The Eye of the World, Book 2, The Great Hunt, The Dragon Reborn, Book 4, The Shadow Rising, Book 5, The Fires of Heaven, Book 6, Lord of Chaos, A Crown of Swords, Book 8, A Path of Daggers, Book number 9, Winter's Heart, Book 10, Crossroads of Twilight, Book 11, The Knife of Dreams, Book 12, which is The Gathering Storm, Book 13, Towers of Midnight, and Book 14, the final one in Wheel of Time, A Memory of Light. Those are all the ones I've read and own by Jordan. Next author on the list, we're very near to the top now, is Brandon Sanderson. First book I own by him is The Rhythmatist. Book 1 in the Reckoners, Steelheart. Book 2, Firefight. Book 3, Calamity. Next I have some novellas by him. I have Mitosis, which is also part of the Reckoners series. Legion, which is its own sort of weird crazy little series. And another copy of Legion, which is part of this bind-up combined with The Emperor's Soul. I then have 2 copies of Arcanum Unbounded, which is a short story collection holding some of the stories I just mentioned, like The Emperor's Soul again. I then have Elantris, Warbreaker, my original copy and the 10th anniversary edition copy of The Final Empire, the first book in Mistborn, and then The Well of Ascension, which is book 2 of Mistborn, and The Hero of Ages, which is book 3 of Mistborn. I also have Alloy of Law, which is a spin-off of the Mistborn series, and although I have read Bands of Mourning and the next one whose name I forget, I don't own them in physical edition yet. I also have The Way of Kings and Words of Radiance, Robin Hobb. The first book I own by her is a novella. It is The Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince. Then we move on to the Farseer trilogy. I'm also going to tell you guys that this is the order you should read them in, if you are ever wondering. The first book is Assassin's Apprentice. Then we have Royal Assassin, book 2 in Farseer. Book 3 of Farseer is Assassin's Quest. Book 1 of the live ships is Ship of Magic. Book 2 is The Mad Ship. And book 3 is Ship of Destiny. Then we have the Tawny Man books. The first of those is Fool's Errand. Then it goes on to Golden Fool. And the final one, which is my all-time favourite book ever, is Fool's Fate. We then have the Rainwilds Quartet, which starts off with The Dragon Keeper, follows on with Dragon Haven. Then the third one is City of Dragons. And the fourth and final one is Blood of Dragons. Then we have the first book in Fitz and the Fool. I actually don't own the second one, but the first one is called Fool's Assassin. I have read and adored the second one, I just need to get a copy. And then we move on to an entirely different series. This one is set on a completely different world from all of those books I just showed you, which are The Realm of the Eldlings. This is Soldier Sun Trilogy. It starts off with Shaman's Crossing. Then we have Forest Mage. And finally, Renegade's Magic, and this is, as I say, a complete standalone series. That takes my total for Robin Hobb up to 18 books, I believe, which is quite crazy, but amazing, because she is my favourite author, and Sanderson's my next favourite, probably. It's crazy how many books of theirs I own when I think about it, but it's cool as well, it's cool. Now I'm gonna try and put them all back, and like, if you could see the state of my floor, you might cry, because there are books everywhere. It's gonna take a while. So thank you for watching this video. Do let me know in the comments below who is your most owned and most read author. I would love to hear. And if you have any recommendations of other authors you think I should own more books by, do leave them down below. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.